They kicked me out at 17 and said, "You'll be back begging in a month." 9 years later, everything they built crashed down, and I was the only one who could save them. My name is Brady, and I'm 26 now, but the memory of the night my parents threw me out still lives inside me like it just happened. I was only 17, a junior in high school, when my whole life shifted in a way I could have never predicted. I still remember standing at the front door of our house, a bag over my shoulder, rain starting to come down, and my mother looking me dead in the eyes with this cold, almost satisfied smirk on her face. She said, "You'll be back begging in a month," like it was a promise, like she was sure that I would fail. My dad didn't even look at me. He just slammed the door in my face as if that was the last thing I'd ever deserve from him.
No goodbye.
Just the hollow sound of wood and metal shutting me out of their world. That night I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I just stood there for a minute, numb, letting the rain hit my shoulders while the weight of their rejection sunk in. And then I walked away without looking back. I was never the perfect son, at least not in their eyes. My dad worked at a factory, my mom was a receptionist. We lived in a small town where people judged you by your job title and the university you attended. They had this entire plan for me. Good grades, college, a career that looked good on paper, and a life that matched the dream they had built in their heads. But that dream wasn't mine. I hated school. Not because I was lazy or dumb. It's just that I had undiagnosed ADHD, and sitting still in a desk all day listening to lectures was like torture. What I did love, genuinely, deeply love, was working with my hands, fixing things, building things. When I was 15, I spent a summer helping our neighbor Judah renovate his garage, and for the first time, I felt like I was good at something that mattered. But every time I mentioned going into a trade, construction, carpentry, anything that didn't involve a degree, my parents reacted like I'd said I wanted to be a criminal. My mom would get that pinched look on her face. My dad would say I was wasting my potential. They weren't interested in what made me happy. They were interested in what made them look good. The fight started small, over homework, deadlines, report cards. But as graduation approached, everything got worse. I was working a part-time job, saving what I could, watching my grades slip because I simply didn't care anymore. Then came the breaking point, the night I told them I'd gotten accepted into a trade school. Not just that, I got a partial scholarship too. It was a program designed for people like me. But as soon as I said the words, the room froze. My dad slammed his fork down, my mom started crying, and they acted like I had just confessed to throwing away my entire future. The argument that followed was the worst we'd ever had. My dad called me ungrateful. My mom kept repeating, "Where did we go wrong?" I tried to explain that I was excited, that this was the first time something actually made sense to me. But he cut me off and said the words that would stick with me for years. "No son of mine is going to waste his life like that. If you're too stupid to see the opportunity you're throwing away, maybe you're not the son we thought you were." And that was it. Something inside me snapped. I told them I was done living for their expectations, that I was almost an adult, that I had a right to choose my own life. And then my dad said the final words that ended it all. "If you're not going to follow our rules, you can get out of this house." I don't think he thought I would actually do it, but I did. I went upstairs, grabbed the emergency bag I'd already packed, because deep down, I knew this was coming, and took the cash I'd saved, my laptop, my important documents. When I came back down, they looked stunned. My mom tried to say something. "You're making a huge mistake." My dad didn't speak. He just opened the door. As I stepped out, my mom said it. The thing that lit the fire in me that's never gone out. "You'll be back begging in a month." And then the door closed behind me. I called my friend Corey, whose parents took me in without hesitation. I was still in school, still trying to graduate. But now I had no home, no safety net. I'd wake up on their couch at 6 a.m., go to school, work after, then try to study at night. I was exhausted, but more than that, I was determined. My parents wanted me to fail. I couldn't let them win. I applied for emergency aid, got emancipated with help from a school counselor, and started working 2 jobs, hardware store and diner. I lived on ramen and leftovers, lost 20 pounds, and learned how to be an adult before I even turned 18. My parents reached out, but only with conditions. You can come home if you apologize. We'll help, but only if you do things our way. I never responded. I graduated high school, alone. They showed up for appearances but left before I could even acknowledge them. I moved into a roach-filled apartment with 2 roommates, worked all night, went to trade school all day. I was running on empty but still pushing forward. And then things finally started to shift. One day at the hardware store, I helped a man named Santiago find some tools and drew him a diagram of how to install them. Turns out he owned a small renovation business. He offered me a side gig, and that side gig turned into real work. He believed in me, taught me, gave me my first real break. Within a year, I had my first certification, then a better apartment, then a life, a real one, not fancy, but mine. I met Lydia around then, a woman who listened when I spoke, who saw me for who I was. We built something together, something real, and all the while, my parents started falling apart. My dad lost his job. My mom's hours got cut. The house they'd built their image on, it was falling apart literally and figuratively. They started reaching out again, first with guilt, then with desperation. When they found out I was doing well, my mom even posted on Facebook about how proud she was of her son Brady, the same one they threw out, the same one they said would come back begging. Only now they were the ones begging. 9 years after that door slammed shut, I found myself sitting in their kitchen, the same one where they told me I'd fail. As they explained, they were facing foreclosure. They'd lost everything, and they wanted me to save them. I didn't say yes, not right away. I told them I'd think about it, that if I did help, it would be on my terms. I laid out boundaries, therapy, honesty, no more manipulation. I paid the back mortgage, not because I owed them, but because I wanted to end that chapter my way. And as I walked out, my dad finally said something honest. You turned out all right. I just nodded and said, I know, because I did turn out all right. In fact, I turned out better than they ever expected. I built a life from nothing, with my own hands, with my own rules. They threw me out at 17 and thought I'd be back begging. But 9 years later, when everything they built crashed down, I was the only one who could save them. And that's the thing, isn't it? They thought I'd come back on my knees. But I didn't. I stood tall. I built something they couldn't understand, a life based on respect, not control. Love, not conditions. And in the end, when everything around them crumbled, the son they doubted, the one they disowned, was the one who showed up with strength and stability. But this time, it wasn't out of obligation. It was a choice. My choice. I forgave, but I never forgot. And as I drove away from their house that day, the same house I'd been kicked out of at 17, I knew deep in my soul that I didn't just survive, I won. Hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of survival, growth, and unshakable comebacks.